You know what it's like? It's like a movie. It's like a fantastic movie.
Dad told me you found something on a train during the war.
When somebody says Indiana Jones to you, what's the first image that pops in your mind? What is that scene that you immediately associate with Indy?
The entire first sequence of the first film. I've never seen anything like it. And then the rest of the film turned out to be like that as well. So that just blew me away.
The moment of the guy with the knives, and he's like doing his thing, and Indy's just standing there and just whips out his gun and is like, just shoots him, which is lovely.
It's just the essence of a guy rising to the occasion, with that dun 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 dun, and he just, whether he's feeling good or hurt or bad or whatever, he gets up and does it.
Was there one specific moment on the Dial of Destiny that you'll file in that iconic Indy moment for you?
For me specifically, because that's the world I kind of lived in, was him on the horse and galloping through the train station. Yeah. just getting on a random horse, and here he goes. Yeah, and then that's when the theme song comes in, which is lovely.
Well, I see something different now than I did before. I've seen from like inside the sausage factory, which is actually no, which isn't that different from what I'd seen before. It's extraordinary caves with Harrison Ford standing with a hat and a whip, and the sun setting kind of behind him, and knowing that you're about to go on an unbelievable adventure and you're going to laugh and you're going to cry and you're going to have an absolute ball. So it's actually the same. It is the same experience being on an Indiana Jones set as it is watching the film, which is quite something.
Is there one particular from this shoot, that one cave that you really think back to?
There is a tomb that we go into, and I remember when I was younger watching adventure movies and always loving the moments where the characters would walk into like a cave in awe, just sort of like amazed, and I used to like walk around in my life just pretending that I was walking into a cave in awe and amazed. And then I get to do this movie and I get to walk into an actual tomb, and the stage directions, it's like she looks around in awe, amazed,
and with John Williams music.
Exactly. So I think it's right at the end I get to walk into a cave in awe and amazed, and that was really magical.
When I think of Indiana Jones, I also think about of the hat, Harrison Ford, the whip, and I think of adventures, and I think of The Last Crusade, because it's my favorite Indiana Jones movie.
You have chosen wisely.
It feels so unreal to be in an Indiana Jones movie, and when you're in like this big set with everyone acting like you're in a big adventure, and with an actual dial of destiny in your hand, and with caves around you, and with the 60s set, you feel like you're going back in time.
Yeah, the details are unbelievable on that set, and holding the dial and all that kind of stuff.
Amazing.
It's magical.
I remember when I held the dial for the first time with you. Was
on the boat, right?
No, it was on the first day shooting. I asked you to show me the dial, and you showed it to me. And I was like, wow.
There's so much of Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford, and vice versa, that I think we all, I include myself with you, when we ask questions like, what's it like to say goodbye to Indiana Jones? You're saying goodbye to Indiana Jones. He's not, he's waking up with him. Sorry. But you know what I mean. I mean that of all the people in the world, the one who's least saying farewell is the one who kind of carries him with him. For good or for not. And so it's just a more interesting question than you think.
But the perhaps more interesting thing is why are we doing this film? And the reason I'm doing it is because I want to see this character. I want to know just this much more about him. I want to know, what's he like when he's at the end of his string? What's it like after years of teaching disinterested students archaeology, assigning them reading that they're never going to do? What's it like to be living from hand to mouth in a tenement apartment in New York on a teacher's salary in 1969, watching the world go on without you? You know what it's like? it's like a movie. It's like a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
About somebody who you think you know, now revealing aspects of his nature and culture that you might not have imagined, and yet which you can identify with emotionally. Because you know that person, and you want to know how's he doing. And so he has made a script that has the opportunity for all of that wonderful stuff to be present in my life as a job of work. I love the work I get to do. And when I get to do it with people that are like-minded, that are buoyed by the same spirits, have respect for each other, a high ambition to make the product that they're involved in really
good as
special, as good as it could be.
And I think you still got one of those classic Indy moments in there as well. What's it like to, balance one of those moments where you're recalling the past, but you're not trying to repeat what you've already done?
To be honest, you just enter the world of Indiana Jones, and these beats come naturally. You don't honestly think about collecting ornaments that reference the other pictures. You kind of realize you've done it without thinking about it, because if you're a student of the other films, the tone and the kind of musicality of the movies, the buttons on the sequences, the commingling of action and character, is really what it's all about.
What are you doing here? Rescuing you! Hang on!
James Mangold and Harrison Ford were talking about how they wanted to keep the stunt work in this really grounded and as realistic as possible. How much of that were you able to participate in, and is it something that you enjoyed doing and would like to do again?
I loved it so much. And I think such a big part of it feeling real is that it has to feel messy, and it has to feel unrehearsed and kind of clumsy for certain characters. So that's perfect for me. That was all in my remit, unrehearsed, clumsy and spontaneous. And so I really enjoyed that. And actually part of it was they didn't want Helena to be too slick. And so there was a little bit of comedy in it as well. But just the idea of a character who just will jump onto the back of a moving tuk-tuk, even if she doesn't know she can do it or not. And the two of them are the same like that. They will just jump, and there's something about that in a character that is addictive to play.
Hold on!
The Indiana Jones villains have some of the most memorable on-screen deaths of all time. There's the plane propeller blades, the secret wall spikes, rapidly aging into dust in The Last Crusade. As Indy villains, do you have any favorites of those villain demises, or one you'd still like to see?
It's always nice to see people melting.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It works every time.
It is satisfying, yeah. The guy with the grabbing the heart, I think that felt like it could happen.
The way these two kind of go out has been, I guess, at the top of my list. That is pretty epic, and just their faces of the recognition of seeing someone knowing they're about to die. I think that was pretty cool.
James revealed to us that you are a difficult person to make laugh. He actually said that, and I quote, it was like climbing Mount Everest to get a laugh out of you, but you did love a good dirty joke.
I don't remember this, but okay.
It's something we talked about, yeah.
I think he laughs all the time, but anyway, whatever.
Any good dirty jokes you remember from the set? Somebody particularly cracking you up?
Dirty jokes?
This is coming from your director.
Sir, no. I like a good laugh. So does everybody else, and so we like to keep a light tone. To hear that, it's hard to make me laugh.
It's actually quite.
You know
easy.
That's hilarious.
Phoebe, we know you're no slouch in the raunchy joke department.
Herb, slut. Wow.
Were you able to make Harrison crack up at any point? Was there a certain joke that you remember getting him to?
I feel like
crack?
I met my match in terms of he's very good at that too. We actually did have a laugh straight off the bat, and it's a very special feeling making Harrison laugh. But he does laugh a lot more than he lets on, I think, especially on set.
He's the one making us crack, though. I mean, it's tricky, but he's such a kid.
Have we met? My memory's a little fuzzy. Are you still a Nazi?
Yeah, a lot of playful moments. His inner child is always at play, and I remember I'm pursuing him, and he jumps on the train, the door closes, but there was a take where there was a malfunction with the door, and so then I jumped in, but then he jumped out, and that's when the door closed, and then he's like making like a silly face at me. I was like, oh, this is perfect.
I've been looking for this all my life.
There was one moment that I don't know if you remember in Sicily. I know you were shooting on the steps and the parade was coming around.
Yeah.
And he felt like they were holding the cross in the wrong way, and he was like, "This doesn't feel right." He was like, "I feel like they'd be doing something else." And he just leant back in his chair and he just shouted out into the town square, "Can somebody get me a Catholic?" And then somebody did. That's the amazing thing about Harrison Ford. You can just lean back and scream into the ether, and they'll bring you whatever you want. And I think he found that very funny.
Is that you were good at making yourself crack up? That's what Phoebe told me. Is that
maybe blame Phoebe because you're just getting me in hot water.